Okay, well, Kufar, Akbar, everybody, welcome to another Monday edition of the Crossing the Crescent discussion group. This is a weekly live stream show dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Christianity and Islam. I am your host, Thekafur, the Kafir, Eric Thekafur, coming to you live from the cavern steps of the Kafir Cave in Dar al-Harb, Kafir. A lot of people don't know what Dar al-Harb is.
Place of war.
Yeah, House of War. It's there's two houses according to Islam: the House of War and the House of Islam. And if you are outside the House of Islam, meaning that you're outside the historically Islamically controlled lands, you are Dar al-Harb. And as long as Kafiristan is here, it will be Dar al-Harb. Anyway, we're here every Monday at 5. I have on my notes, I got like these little notes that make sure that I hit every Monday, and I forgot to put in 5:30. We are here at 5:30 Central Standard Time every Monday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And that is because starting next week, not this week, but next week, we have the Good News Club going on at a local elementary school and this is the only time, it's really sad. This is about the only time that these kids will ever hear about Christ, because 90% of them, 95% of them are unchurched kids. And we have about 100 of them from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade. And it's just, it's one of those special joys that you get in life, to be able to teach them about Christ. If you're interested in coming to the stream, I have pinned the link to the stream in chat, I believe. Can you all confirm that for me? Is that still pinned up there? Because I know I lagged. I was lagging earlier, and I apologize for that. So if I start lagging, just make sure that you tell me, say, hey, you're lagging, fix it, and then I'll jump out and jump back in. I don't know what's going on. It's been going on with my internet all day, and I don't know. I thought maybe it was my computer, but it's going on this morning. Okay, so today's topic is Islamic slavery, and this idea was brought to us by our friend Connie, and she's not here. Way to go! But that's okay. I'm not going to be down. And actually, Connie, for all y'all don't know this, Connie is the one that did the intro video. She does the intro video and updates it for me from time to time. And I don't know if y'all watched, Chris Claus did a after debate live stream. David Wood debated some idiot.
His name's Central Dawa.
Who?
Oh, geez. Central Dawa.
Okay. And when I tuned into that, it's his show with the intro from this show, and I'm like, hey, this is cool. That he's asked me, all fairness to Chris, he's asked me, of course, if he could use it, and I am not one to not share with all of my brothers out there. So I'm happy to see that he is using it and getting some use out, because it is the most Islamophobic intro on all of YouTube. Thank you, Connie. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Islamic slavery. And like I said, the reason why is because this is a topic that was brought up last week by our friend Connie, but it needs to be discussed more often. And Paul, on Paul's show this Thursday, am I correct, Paul, or is it Friday?
Yes, Thursday.
Okay, this Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time.
6 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay, Paul spends all of his time going over the Sharia in Reliance to the Traveler, and he is going to be discussing some
strange things that Muslims don't want you to know because it's left in Arabic. It did not get translated.
Paul's not, he's not an Arabic speaker. You're not an Arabic speaker, are you?
No, I'm trusting Usama and his brothers, and
okay,
this is a tough one. It's tough that it's so tough that Usama has to bring in his brothers.
Wow. Okay, well, and then Usama's going to be discussing this on his show Saturday night also.
Probably not, but I think we're gonna be talking about what's in this because this week it's kind of mind numbing.
Yeah. Okay. And so we're probably going to be beating a dead horse. I don't want to say beating a dead horse over something like this, but I will
pause again. I'm guessing.
I don't know. Republic, is that DL in chat there? Province Republic. I think that's DL.
No, that's Connie.
Oh, is that Connie?
Yeah, she's on his channel.
Oh, okay. There we go. Well, that explains it. Okay. Oh, yeah, because it says, there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump over to my handy dandy. Whoop. That is unsatisfactory. There we go. That is not there. No. There we go. Oh, my goodness. All right, so let's go ahead and start talking about Islamic slavery and the slave trade. Now, the reason why I'm gonna do a comparison of the Islamic slave trade, or what they call the Arab slave trade, and I'm going to compare that to the transatlantic slave trade. And why do this? Because one of the most often cited sins of Western civilization in the European powers is the institution of African slavery into the Western world, or into the Americas, into
robotic.
So
You're
South America.
you're really pausy, Eric. I don't know what's going on, but you're really lagging.
It's robotic.
You froze.
Now you're frozen.
Mhm.
It's a time to restart one more time.
I'm out, and I'm going to reset my internet, and I'll be back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Slave
So
trades.
I'll give you a clue as to what we'll be talking about in these hidden Arabic passages on Thursday. I just learned from trying the Google Translate part that that Muslims partially own slaves. So that meant you could have two or more owners of a slave. So they would say they'd freed them and they wouldn't be free because they'd still be owned by one or two others. So that would allow them to continue to own a slave until the other two people or more free.
Wait, slave sharing? Slave sharing? So you can go on get a combo, go in what do you call it, a slave sharing plan? Like condo sharing?
Yes, that's exact kind of
Buying
thing.
in the house floor? Wow.
Remember, manumission has to do with freeing a slave, but if you free a slave, they're not really free if they're still owned by two other people. So it's almost like they have to buy you out. I've been trying to figure that out. If you buy them out, or they buy you out, it's kind of weird about the concept of freeing a slave, because they talk about it costing money, but is it costing money if you're setting somebody free? I have a lot of questions because it doesn't necessarily make sense. If you're the owner, why would you be paying to free them? I mean, I have a lot of questions with some of this stuff, so it's weird. And they said in the English translation slavery has already ended, so we don't need to discuss it. So they didn't translate anything. I mean, apparently they didn't know ISIS and the slavery was all. Oh no, they did know that, because if they did, then they were afraid that they would lose all the concepts of getting black Muslims again, or maybe they might lose all of the concepts of Western Islam. Oh wait, that might happen just because they're scared of talking about slavery. Ooh, there might not be another convert in the United States. That's another possibility. That's what they got scared about. Islam has a love of slavery, and it continues to this day, and we're going to prove that. I know Rad was involved in a little discussion I'm trying to put together on. We did a little skit, and I'm hoping I can find that, and we're going to play that as part of what we're going to do. This was a skit I had a few people involved with. It was kind of taken from a memory thing. I cannot find the original video, unfortunately, because when you get the truth out there, people get scared of the truth. And so we have the transcript, but we don't have the original video, unfortunately. And I'm guessing that he's having some fights with the internet. So he will be right back. And
Does he reset his modem?
yes, that's what he's doing.
You know? Okay, so that's probably gonna be about a minute and a half before he returns. But yeah, what we did a skit. I don't remember the skit. What was this? When did we do this?
We did this on. We were talking about the slaves. That these people were really giddy about having slaves if they would go to war with Israel. Well, they went to war with Israel, and Israel kicked butt. So, yeah, we were talking about, we could go to war with Israel and have some sex slaves, and we could hand them out. Yeah, so this is going to be interesting.
Okay. I'll be interested in that because honestly, I have no recollection of that. That's
I
interesting.
think you were in on it. I know that John was in on it, and a few others. It's really shocking, this material. And I think it's out of Pakistan. Is that a dog? Hey, Brad, it's a lot of background.
Oh, driver's trying to get the window all that.
Okay.
So, yeah, something happened actually in Pakistan. I forgot what it was, but it looks like Eric's back.
Yay!
Okay. Am I lagging or?
Yes.
I am lagging.
Yeah, because your lips aren't moving; they're frozen. Oh, you might be back. I don't know.
Try just killing the video. Kill the video. We can hear you. Kill the video.
Kill the video and go for it. Yeah. There you go,
How's
Eric. That's actually better.
Really? Now that you can't see me, it looks a lot better.
No, I'm saying the audio is better.
Okay. Well, we'll try it. We'll try it like this and see how things go. Okay. So let's go ahead and move this over and bring this back up. Okay. So we were talking about comparing the transatlantic slave trade to the Arab or the Islamic slave trade, and the reason why we're doing this is because we all know of this perpetual stain and sin that is always thrust upon the United States specifically, and that it has to deal with the transatlantic slave trade and the institution of slavery in the United States itself. Now, let's make sure we understand this, folks. Every country up until the end of the 19th century had some form of slavery in it. Slavery was a universal human condition or institution. We don't want to admit it when we look at our own cultures, our own civilizations, but it is the United States that is one that is castigated the most about this, and it's actually really disgusting. I'm not trying to minimize the horrors of the transatlantic slave trade or the institution of slavery in our country. I would never do that, and I've said that several times on the show. At the same time, I want to make sure that everybody understands the implications or the enormity of slavery that cultures, religions, and all
We're starting to lose you, Eric.
Do you mind if I interject? I want to interject one quick thing there, if that was okay,
yeah, but
about what I think you're doing. I think what you're doing is you're saying, hey, folks, we need to have accountability. So we talk about this in DEI, that there's a thing about having accountability. So what happens is if you're saying, hey, this person did this thing, you're like, okay, fine. Are you going to hold everyone equally accountable for this situation? Or are you just selectively going to choose? And it's the same thing like with the Palestine-Israel situation, where people are like, well, Jews are doing imperialism and colonialism, but they're not acknowledging Islamic imperialism and colonialism. And if you really want to be fair and honest, and if you think there's atrocities across the globe, then you need to call everyone out equally. You can't selectively say, hey, I'm going to say, ooh, it's evil whitey or evil Jew or, evil whatever, but not hold other people. You hold people to a different standard. That's a problem. And I think is that fair? Is that what you're saying, that you're like, dude, the transatlantic slave trade was an evil, horrible thing, but we should look at the context that all of these people did horrible slavery, and they should all be vilified. Every person who did slavery is wrong, So,
well, I agree. I agree that the United States should be held accountable, should be held to a standard, and actually a higher standard than just about every other country because of our influence across the globe. We should be held to that standard. I agree with that. However, I also understand and agree with exactly what you're saying, that there is accountability on other cultures that people want to completely ignore, while trying to blame the United States for all the ills and evils that have been perpetuated on these countries. But I'm going to show you in this slideshow that the United States was actually one of the pioneers in abolishing slavery. And the reason why I say that is if you look at the Declaration of Independence. Now, what your Declaration of Independence, so you guys flagging and all.
We're barely hearing you now.
Good Lord.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I think I'm not sure if we have you or not now.
Okay, you have me now. Can you hear me?
No, you're very electronic.
I have no idea what's going on.
Wires.
What?
No, that's it's bad internet. it's
I
not enough.
actually agree with you, Eric. I think, but I wouldn't say it's America. I would actually say, it's funny enough that I'm going to be saying this, but I think it was a Christian movement. So you had the radical Republicans, like Thaddeus Stevens, I believe was his name, and a lot of them were actually Protestant reformers, and they were against slavery. So it was actually you have John Brown, who was this big radical who fought against slavery with violence. I mean, I don't agree with violence, but that was the thing. A lot of them were actually it was a very strong Christian movement that repelled against.
Well, what I'm talking about predates that. I mean, you're talking 1840s, 1850s with John Brown and
right.
Well, actually, late 1850s with Brown and Thaddeus Stevens. But what I'm talking about is the very founding of our country, the very founding of our country.
Okay, we're losing you again, Eric. We're losing you again, unfortunately.
I don't know what to do, guys. Hold on. Let me try this.
What browser are you on?
I'm
Is it only when I come in
hold
here?
on just a second.
Is it only when I come?
So the joy of this topic is that not many people dare to discuss it, number one. And when you get this discussion about treating, I'll say as an educator, in the public schools, they never, ever once discuss slavery outside of the United States. In public education in general, they may touch on the fact that there was slavery in South America, but it's quietly discussed and then it's done with. They never really discuss slavery any other place. And that's problematic, but that's how it's done in the United States. It's crazy. I mean, it's a horrible thing.
Can you hear me? Or am I lagging, or is
Very mechanical.
I don't know what's going on.
It's like your net is being shared. Is the only way I can explain it. Like you're cut in half.
Let me come.
No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Nope.
No.
Right, let me try.
Very, very mechanical voice sound.
Let's try. Maybe
Not. Yeah, it's giving you a hard time.
maybe it's, let's see here.
Mm,
How's that? Can you hear that? or not?
yeah, we can hear that. Now.
Is that
Hear
better?
you now. It's better now.
Okay. All right. All right. You can. If you can better now.
I would get rid of the video because it's taking your feed.
So,
Yeah, because we can't hear you at all.
So I have a question, y'all. But while Eric is trying to recalibrate, have any of you read Arabian Nights, like the 1001 Arabian Nights?
As a kid,
It's a
I haven't read it
fascinating.
since.
It's a fascinating corpus because it gives you an exploration into Arab culture, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. It talks about enslavement. It talks about these really wealthy, sultans and caliphs. Like the whole story is about this person who, about a woman who basically escapes death by telling stories because this man marries this woman. She, I guess, this queen sleeps with a slave, quote unquote, a black slave, quote unquote, in the story. It's pretty horrific, actually, the unadulterated version. And then he goes and just basically marries women to kill them. That's what happens. And then basically he marries this woman named Scheherazade, and then Scheherazade tells 1001 stories, and she lives because she's able to tell all these stories. But these stories contain a lot of things in Arab culture. And there's a lot of anti-blackness and stuff like that too within this, and a lot of people don't want to talk about that. But
That's part of Islamic culture as well. So it's not a surprise. I mean, that's why it's there. I mean,
well, and I mean, Arabian Nights is kind of, it showcases Arab Islamic tradition. So, yeah,
Here's a fun
it's
fact.
interesting that you see that you do sleep.
well, it's in my book, my last book, Cancer Civilization Chat. Yeah,
You have a
Here's
book?
fun fact. Can you guys hear me?
yeah, I've got several. Yeah, I can hear you, Ed.
Or are they PDFs?
Okay, well, here's a fun fact. Jay and DOC, they did a stream, but you guys all know Ali Dawa, right?
Mhm.
Ali Dawa goes on a rant about the racism of Islam. I guess he married a woman from Sudan, and he says that he has to make her wear the what do you call it, the niqab when they go out.
The burqa, the niqabs, which they don't know, right?
Yeah, so because they will recognize Ali Dawa, but then you notice that these race of Arab Muslims, they will take pictures of his black wife and they will totally mock her, saying, "Why couldn't he marry an Arab woman? Why do you have to marry the black woman?" I forgot what they call her.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Abd. They call her Abd.
Yeah,
Abd,
yeah.
Abd is the word for slave.
Slave.
It's also the word for black.
Yeah, but he went off on them, dude. It's a good. I'll try to find it. Maybe we can play some clips of Eric.
Oh,
Eric,
if you find it, I definitely could use it.
Sure. Eric, are you there? Eric, you got to kill your video. Your video's not working. Kill your video, dude. Kill your video.
When I first learned
Yeah.
about,
All right.
when I first learned about the slave trade in East Africa, and it was kind of shocking because I was an Africology major, so I was a double major in religion and Africology, or African American studies, and it was a really shocking thing because my teacher was like kind of like a Pan-Africanist, like very pro-African, African indigenous traditions. So he was kind of hostile to both Christianity and Islam, but he talked about this guy named Tipu Tip, who was this person who like enslaved people. And a lot of people don't know about this. They don't know about the East African slave trade. It's like erased. It's the same thing like what happened with Pakistan and Bangladesh. We just don't hear about it. It's completely erased. All these people died. All these horrible things occurred, and no one knows about it because it's been erased.
Yeah, they have hidden so much, and part of the reason they've hidden so much is because of the horror of it. And when the reality comes out, you start looking at Indian history, and you go back to before just before about the time period that Britain gets involved with it. You're talking about early 1900s, late 1800s, and when they start getting involved. This is towards the end of the slave trade. And you'll hear this just looking at the histories written by the Brits during this time is kind of shocking. I've read at least 2 volumes of material on that. It's just, that's where I start when I started looking at the Hijra, and I said there had to be evidence of it existing before, and the Brits documented it over and over and over and over again. One group of Muslims would call another group of Muslims heretics, basically, and they would all move to the one side, and then they would go slaughter the other side. So this is, again, a lot of this stuff is just documented. People are kind of shocked to find out, but that's it. Eric, are you back?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yay! Yes, we can.
Okay, you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, let's just do a side-by-side comparison of the Islamic slave trade and compare that to the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, you had about 12 million African slaves from the Islamic slave trade in Africa. This does not include the Islamic slave trade that included the Mediterranean coasts, into Europe, mainly the Slavs, nor does it include what they did in India, where the transatlantic slave trade had about 11 million African slaves are sent westward. 95%, keep in mind, 95% of these 11 million were sent to Central and South America, not North America. Central and South America. Many were sent to the Caribbean islands where they worked on sugar plantations, and the expected life expectancy of them was about 2 years. Life was cheap, but it was just absolutely horrendous, the conditions. The males that were sent eastward were castrated, and I'm not talking about just castration.
Oh, you're breaking up, unfortunately. This is frustrating, I know, from your end.
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm gonna, because I can't even get this to jump back to.
Hey, Eric, did you reboot your modem?
Yep.
Cable modem? You unplugged it for 30 seconds and plugged it back in?
Yep.
All right, you're gonna have to call your cable company.
This is yeah. Okay, this is what we'll do. We'll just go ahead and end the stream and do this next Monday. It's just frustrating. I don't want to sit here and frustrate people and have them try to watch more. Especially when you have technical issues.
Oh, the joy of the internet.
I fixed this before. I'm hardwired again, but now I can't figure out how to run that hardwire back out to my modem. But I'm thinking it's got to be something coming in from the cable company.
Yeah, I'd give them a call. The jinns are attacking your cable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the jinns are at it.
Jinns are definitely at it. All right, guys. We'll go ahead and end the stream. Thanks for coming, and we'll
All right.
do this next week. All right. God bless you guys. We'll see you then.
God bless. Bye.
Bye.
Advanced student and specialist, that the standard narrative has holes. That's what
that the Muslims were rioting against one another. And as much as we don't want to face the fact, the Muslims were lying sometimes. They were fabricating, they were embellishing, and that might be hard to accept, but that is a reality.